In the small village of Tsukigakure, tales of the Midnight Gate lingered like a haunting melody. Deep within the shadows of Hashizora Forest, this ancient torii gate was said to open a doorway to another realm, where creatures of night dwelled. The villagers warned of the Long-Handed, a spirit with elongated, ghostly arms that could reach out from the Midnight Gate, capturing any who wandered too close. Two boys, Kinji and Haru, found the stories thrilling rather than terrifying. At the age of 12, they had a fierce taste for adventure. Kinji was the braver one, with a constant gleam of mischief in his eyes. Haru, quieter and more cautious, followed Kinji out of loyalty and the allure of mystery. One humid summer evening, they decided to go find the Midnight Gate and put the legend to rest. Equipped with a flashlight and boundless energy, they snuck out after dusk and made their way toward the forest. "It's just an old gate," Kinji whispered confidently as they entered the forest. The dense trees loomed overhead, their branches blocking out the starlit sky. The boys followed a winding trail, the air around them growing still and cool. Shadows deepened, and an eerie silence settled over the forest. They walked for what felt like hours until they saw it, a clearing illuminated by moonlight, and at its center, the Midnight Gate stood tall and foreboding. The red paint had faded, and vines snaked around its wooden beams, giving it an otherworldly appearance. "See? Nothing to be afraid of," Kinji said, though his voice held a hint of unease. They took slow steps toward the gate, mesmerized by its presence. As they got closer, a strange feeling crept over them. The air thickened, and the forest grew unnaturally quiet, as if it, too, was watching. "Maybe we should go back," Haru muttered, gripping his flashlight tighter. But before they could move, a faint rustling sounded from beyond the gate. They froze, eyes wide, as a pair of long, pale arms began to emerge from the darkness, stretching toward them like shadows come to life. "Run!" Kinji shouted, his bravado crumbling. They turned and bolted down the path, hearts pounding, but the creature was fast. Its arms elongated, reaching out, clawing at the air mere inches from their backs. They stumbled and tripped over rocks and roots, the forest seeming to twist and turn, disorienting them as they tried to find their way back. The creature's arms grew closer, brushing the fabric of Kinji's shirt, tugging him slightly before he managed to break free. At last, they burst out of the forest, panting and exhausted. The village lights in the distance felt like a beacon of safety, and they didn't stop running until they reached Kinji's house. Inside, they collapsed on the floor, gasping for breath, too terrified to speak. They hadn't just seen something. They had felt its chilling presence, a weight pressing down on their souls. Neither boy slept that night, haunted by the vision of those long, grasping arms. The next morning, Haru went to Kinji's house, eager to discuss what had happened. But when he arrived, he found Kinji's mother in tears and the villagers murmuring with worry. "Kinji's gone," his mother sobbed. "He was here last night, but he disappeared this morning." The shock hit Haru like a punch. How could Kinji be missing? They had made it back together, hadn't they? Over the next few days, the villagers searched the forest, but there was no sign of Kinji. The Midnight Gate loomed in Haru's thoughts, a dark and foreboding presence. He could almost hear it calling to him, urging him to return. Unable to shake the feeling that Kinji was still out there, Haru decided to go back to the forest alone. Armed with only a flashlight and a small knife, he ventured out at dusk, determined to confront the creature and bring his friend home. The forest felt different this time. Every sound seemed amplified, every shadow more sinister. As he approached the clearing, he felt an overwhelming sense of dread, but he pushed forward, driven by loyalty and guilt. The Midnight Gate stood silent and unmoving, yet Haru could feel the air around it pulse with a dark energy. Swallowing his fear, he stepped closer, calling out, "Kinji, are you there?" The silence was deafening, and then, just as he was about to turn back, the familiar rustling began. The air grew cold, and long, pale arms emerged from the gate, reaching toward him. But this time, Haru didn't run. He stood his ground, gripping his flashlight tightly, heart pounding as the creature's shadowy form grew closer. "Where's Kinji?" he demanded, his voice trembling. "What did you do with him?" The creature paused, its elongated arms hovering in the air. A voice, low and mournful, whispered from the shadows, "He chose to stay." Haru's breath caught in his throat. "No, you took him. He didn't choose anything." The creature's eyes, two hollow, glowing orbs, fixed on him. All who crossed the gate faced their fears.